to another brand new episode of Between Two Berms, the podcast covering all things Omaha Storm Chasers related and sometimes completely unrelated. I am your host, Scott Pop, joined by my effervescent co-host, Andrew Asbury.
What does that even mean?
Nobody knows what it means, but it's provocative.
Boy, I'm excited. This podcast has been a highlight of my days. I'm excited for today's topic.
Right in, all right. Today's topic, by your request, winter meetings.
Winter meetings, it's coming up. It's just a couple weeks away from the point that we are recording this podcast. It's something that helped me get my first job, and it's something that a lot of people go to, specifically the PBEO Job Fair, to get kind of their first job in sports. And not only that, but the winter meetings, there's just so many baseball officials there. They're talking to each other. They have their restaurant bar meetings where they're talking trades and potential free agents, and it's just a really cool atmosphere to be a part of. And I think we brought some people in to kind of share their experiences and maybe what they might be looking for as they go to the winter meetings this year.
All right, we sure did bring in some special guests today. We have Human Resources Manager Laura Warnock and Facilities Manager Louie Page for some insight on the annual event. How are you guys doing?
Great. Thanks for bringing us here today.
Doing good. It's good to be here, guys.
Fantastic. All right, Asbury, take it away, buddy. This is your thing. I don't know what happens at winter meetings. We want to kind of go behind the scenes, the job fair. Laura's input can let us know what she's looking for in a potential employee.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody's looking for a job, and the PBEO Job Fair is, I always say, the best place to go to and find that job. She might be able to give you some hints and what she might be looking for if you're going to be interviewing with us at the Storm Chasers table. But one thing that I wanted to kind of describe to you, and it's tough to describe, and Louie, you can pitch in if you want, but PBEO Job Fair is just it's a beast. It is there's a ton of people there, a ton of job openings in minor league baseball and major league baseball, and you're kind of in this room, presentation or convention hall, the first day, and everybody's presenting to you kind of their story, their history, on how they got started in sports and in baseball. I remember our president, Marty Cordero, was a speaker when I went. Don't tell him this. I was late and did not hear his when I went, but I did get to hear Robert Ford's. He's the Astros broadcaster. He called the games this year for the World Series.
They lost.
They did lose, but just got to hear from a lot of different people, hear their stories, and kind of hear their tips and tricks on to getting a job. And honestly, some of them paid off for sure. But like I said, you're kind of in this room with all the people you're competing against for these jobs, and then you get released. You go down into another room, and then comes the job boards, and it's just a ton of different cork boards. Set up with a ton of job postings, and then you just dive right into it. You start, writing down some of these positions that you might be interested in. You might try and apply for. Tip number one that I always talk about, if you have your own personal business card, great, but you better be bringing at least 100 resumes with you, at the very least. I know I probably used probably 60 of them. And the way it works is there's all these job postings. You find one that you're interested in. You kind of write down on the top right corner of your resume that job number, and then you go and find kind of like the filing system that they have. And the way you apply is you put your resume down in that number order, and then they kind of go through those. Pick you out, and if they're interested, they'll give you a call or they'll email you and set up a time to interview later in the week. But I don't know what it was like for you. I went to Washington, D.C. in the middle of winter. It was very cold. First time to go into D.C. though, so that was pretty cool. But maybe a little bit of a different experience for you, maybe some more weather that I'm a little jealous about, Louie.
Where'd you go, Louie?
Vegas was very fun. It was my first
Boy,
meetings. Yes,
jealous.
I was in Vegas. Very interesting dynamic and mix of kids at the job fair.
It's a mixed bag.
Obviously, the clubbies, the grounds crew, and the ops guys walk in there immediately feeling extremely underdressed. They see suits.
Did you wear shorts in there?
I did not. Thankfully, I didn't wear shorts. And so yeah, and it's almost like a mosh pit around each bulletin board. Everyone's trying to
It's crazy.
write down the information, take photos, and yeah.
You have an advantage in that point. You're like 6'5".
Oh, yeah.
Former basketball player, you know how to box
The
out.
boxing out was huge.
Use the elbows.
PBEO Job Fair. But yeah, and then a lot of people, I mean, they'll hang out, you drop your applications. The craziest thing to me was my first interview with the Storm Chasers was 11 a.m., noon, kind of typical interview time. And then I went there with a group of friends from the Arizona Fall League, and we all worked that. And so we're like, oh, it's Vegas. Like, we'll get hotels together, we'll apply for jobs, and then we'll go have fun. And then the Storm Chasers asked for the second interview at 11 p.m. that night.
Ooh.
And just meeting at the hotel bar. And I was like, well, I mean, of course I'm going to
Do I
say
want this
yes.
job?
Of course I'm going to be like, yeah, I'll be there. But, I mean, then it's like the whole gap of just like being in Vegas. I don't want to go to the interview drunk, obviously.
I mean,
Although it could give you a little liquid courage, you know, for the interview.
I will say, usually that type of interview, I had a similar experience. I was invited to the hotel bar. However, I was staying outside of the convention center. I was staying in a very sketchy neighborhood in D.C. I did not want to leave my hotel room whenever I got there. Lots of sirens constantly. So, but living in or staying in the convention center or staying near it, you have that opportunity to go to the hotel bar. You get to be a little bit more informal, drink with them, and get to know them a little bit. But I unfortunately missed out on that. But it sounds like you had a good time. So
I did, but I got made fun of immediately showing up to the interview because I kept my tie on all day. So I show up at 11, and immediately Marty's like, "Oh, you still have your tie on," and kind of like laughs, and I'm just like, "Oh yeah, I thought this was going to be a little more formal." So, but yeah, it was cool. I mean, interesting group of people. A lot of people just hang out at the job fair all day and wait to get interview calls and emails, but there's nothing like walking the Vegas Strip, staring at your phone, just waiting for phone calls from random states.
that was so weird, and it was a little bit different in DC. It was so cold outside. We just stayed in the convention center the entire time. So we're kind of staying in this waiting area. And honestly, the biggest problem I had was not having enough battery in my computer or phone to entertain me in between going to looking at the job postings and coming back and waiting.
Charger?
Yeah, I did. I did bring a portable charger, but there's so many people. All the chargers are
Those
they're taken.
outlets are tough to get to.
yeah.
It's like seats taken. These chargers are taken, man. You can't. It's a pricey commodity.
They need to have time limits on them.
They really do.
Meetings.
Going through shifts.
Yeah. Put a quarter
Send
in.
an email to MLB.
We'll see what they can do. But yeah, that was so, just an awkward and a little bit stressful situation. You're just sitting there all day waiting for some sort of feedback if somebody is interested in interviewing you. And luckily, the way ours was set up, all of the radio row, the TV sets, the trade show was all in the same vicinity. So, if I wanted a break from the waiting room, I would get up and I would go and see what people were talking about on the radio row. And I talked to so many people about how they just see Joe Madden walking around, and he's one of the few people that will stop and talk to you no matter who you are, and he'll stop 500 times if he has to. But
Did you stop him?
I did not. I actually have I have my own story that we'll talk about later. But I kind of scouted out the Royals guys, as I'm from Kansas City, and I had met some of them before, so I kind of stalked them a little bit and found them and introduced myself and talked to them a bit. But that was really cool. I don't know if
Did you
you
see
had
any famous people like?
I saw Marlins man, of course.
He's been here.
He's probably
He's
been
everywhere.
to every winter meeting
Yeah.
that's ever happened in his lifetime. And I saw Mark Teixeira. Yeah, it's cool just seeing the MLB network crew walking around the hotel. As there's thousands of super stressed out college kids. And it's like, oh, there's Mark Teixeira. Hey, what's going on? But
So kind of talk about the interview process. How many teams did you interview with? I know myself, I probably interviewed with 6 to 7 different teams. I probably had 4 to 5 job offers towards the end there. I actually interviewed with the Storm Chasers 4 times. I
didn't know if they wanted you.
I can understand why. But it was one of my interviews. They had the minor league baseball beat writer he was walking around and he saw Marty came over during my interview, and he's like interviewing me during my interview. It was like interview inception. But it was, I think that actually helped me because some of the answers that I gave him seemed like it really impressed Marty. And so I kind of got my in that way. I was like, oh man, I was super embarrassed to have this, but I think it really helped me out.
Good. Yeah, I interviewed with, I think it was 4 different teams. I had 2 official offers at the end of it. The thing that worried me the most was, I think after the first day of the job fair, 2 of my buddies had accepted jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, they just turned into full Vegas mode.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm in Vegas, like to have fun. Well, the rest of us are there to find a job. And I ended up not getting either offer until the last day, so it was really sweating it out the entire weekend. Yeah. But yeah, I the other one was from Birmingham, Alabama, and never been to Alabama, never been to Nebraska. So it was just Googling, like I remember just laying in my hotel bed, Googling each city, like what's there to do there. Had no idea Creighton was in Nebraska. All my life growing up in Alaska. Why would you know where Creighton is? I know they have a good basketball team, but no, I don't know where it is.
It's pretty crazy that you guys had to make like a split decision on what you want to do with your life. Like,
Oh,
I guess
it's-
you're there
yeah.
for that reason.
It's
but
incredibly
still.
intense. Like we haven't. I don't know if it was the same way, but I had 3 to 4 job offers on the table. Some that I wanted to do, some that I might not wanted to do, but it was with an organization I wanted to be with. But then the Storm Chasers position that they offered was kind of checked all the boxes, and I took a couple hours to talk to some of my mentors and the people that I trust their opinions on, and I kind of talked through the process. And I think not that they pushed me in one direction or another, but I think they made me realize that the opportunity that the Storm Chasers were providing was actually the better of the 4. And then I kind of turned around, called the previous HR manager at the time and was like, hey, yeah, I'm ready to accept, and signed that letter of intent. Pretty much, it was like I was a high school athlete or something like that, signing with a college team. It was pretty cool. And then
Post about it on Instagram.
no, I did not. I didn't have a hat, so I didn't put it on.
Did it
That's my
happen?
reveal. Yeah, no. If it wasn't on social media, it didn't happen. I did post kind of a recap of my week there, but it was it's kind of cool. And then I accepted my job the last day as well. And the last day they have like a gala, and ours was at the Nationals ballpark.
Oh, wow.
And so I accepted the job, and they're like, hey, we have a ticket for all the people that we're hiring to go to this gala. And I was like, okay, yeah, it's not like I'm doing anything. So but it was really cool. I got to meet all the other hires that the Storm Chasers made then, and got to kind of get a head start and maybe finding a roommate or something like that.
Did you see any of the sites in Washington, D.C.?
I didn't. I was again.
Oh
We were so like we're in this waiting room all week. Like we can't really leave because then you miss an opportunity of like what's being posted on the job board. You don't want to be like the 5th person to like
fair.
sign up for. You want to be the first. You want to be top of mind. So
That was the adrenaline rush. Like more jobs are constantly being posted.
Yeah,
It's like, I was there an hour ago, but I'll go back.
yeah, it was really you had to go back and check like every single hour on the hour to see if there was any more job postings.
And then they really make it intense by writing "filled" across the application.
Yeah.
They wouldn't just take it down.
No.
They'll just stamp it.
It's like, oh, that's an opportunity that's like
My
off the
games.
board.
So what were some things that led you to apply with the Storm Chasers? Was it strictly the job opportunity, or was it the interviews, getting to know the people? What were some things that led you to apply or
Well,
accept?
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing for myself was the proximity to Kansas City was one, and it was part of the Royals affiliation. That was another, but also just the fact that I think at the time the Storm Chasers was pretty well known in minor league baseball. I feel like there's a few teams that are kind of top tiered that you kind of want to gravitate towards, and it definitely helps having a speaker there like Marty. He really gets you amped up, and I think even though I wasn't there, I've seen his speech before. He kind of goes up there, just immediately just starts cursing, and everybody's like gasping, like, oh, this guy's just up here just cursing like a sailor. But it really kind of brings you down to a level that's like, oh, I mean, this guy's more personable. He's not like uptight and all this stuff. And I think one year he ended up like throwing his cell phone across the room. I guess when you have that kind of dough, you can,
Yeah,
throw away a few.
Do it all the time.
But I think that really just stood out, and it was just one of those teams that I kind of gravitated towards just because of the prestige a little bit. But I don't know how it was.
Why did you choose them, Louie?
Well, I'm gonna say I have family in Lincoln. That's not the only.
Right?
That's not the only reason. Yes, I did find Scott Pop on the website. I was like, okay, he seems pretty cool. But no, the down to earth of Marty, Laurie, and Andrea were all there interviewing me. It felt like they wanted me more so. A lot of job interviews are just going through the basic questions, and you don't really get the feeling that they want you as much as you want to work for them.
Yeah, I felt that for sure.
With Omaha, it was different. It was explaining the good and the bad of the job. I mean, telling the expectations, everything. But it was a lot about like, we want you here. Like, we think you'll be good for our team, and we think you'll like it. And yeah, it just felt more welcoming than any other interview, really.
It was very personable, I felt like.
Yeah, and then you also research all the teams, social medias, and everything. You know, weirdest team in baseball is cool. They're popular on social media, and of course, all that helps. So being able to recognize the brand a little bit.
Okay. On the other side, Laura, are you going to San Diego?
Yes,
You
I'm
are?
excited. I'm feeling kind of like a rookie because I've never been to winter meetings before, so I feel like I'll have the nerves that all the candidates have too.
Again, super jealous. Going to DC and it's like 30 degrees and snowing, and then you guys get to go to Vegas and San Diego. Former employee here from the Storm Chasers, he's from San Diego, and I've been meaning to go out and visit him, but San Diego of all places.
December? Wow.
Oh, God, so
Andrew,
jealous.
I think we should
Living
just
the
go.
dream.
We should just
Yeah,
go.
just go to the
and
winter
just
meetings.
follow Laura.
Let's just go.
Constantly, like, say what's up. Hey, how are the interviews going?
Just
Are you
Need
doing
someone-
Storm Chasers? No, I'm just chilling.
I'm just
here.
here. Yeah, it's a good time to be in San Diego.
I'm down.
Yeah, but I'm very excited to be there. We have a few open positions that we're hiring for, so I'm looking forward to interviewing, being a part of the crazy process. Just some tips of what I look for in a candidate. I really love seeing confidence in someone, of knowing that they know who they are, they know what they want, and they're not afraid to share that. And then being specific with how they answer their questions. It's really important to fully answer the question. When you say the situation, you say your specific action, and then the response of that. A lot of people will say, oh, well, I had a group project, and then we all did this thing, and then that's how they answer the question. But saying, there was this group project, I specifically did this, and then this was what happened. We got an A. I think that's really important, showing the work that you put into a project and how you can actually make an impact. And then following up and reaching back out to the employer, I think, is a game changer as well, because then they're still thinking about you, they still want to be with you.
Yeah, that was one thing that I think the job, it was like, seemed 50-50 with some of the postings. Like, some people would text you or call you, or some people would just put you on the job boards of like times to interview. And I was kind of envious of the people who would get the text and calls, because it was like more immediate and you're getting that communication, and it felt good about where you were. But then the people who were just giving you the interview spots, you're just kind of unsure of like what was going on. But I actually think, I don't remember exactly, but I knew the previous HR manager from when she worked for the Royals, and I worked part-time at the Royals too. So that was kind of like my in with getting that interview and getting that text and call, as opposed to the job interview slots. But that was one thing that I really appreciated, was the texting and the calling, and as opposed to the job postings, because those were nerve-wracking. So
like when you're interviewing people, you kind of know like right afterwards, like if they're like an actual contender, right?
well, I felt like it was speed dating. It really was.
Sure. Yeah, and it's important, I think, to really try to get to know the person that's interviewing you, because you could have, this isn't fully true, but you could have the best answers but the worst attitude, and I would be less interested in someone that has mediocre answers but a really great attitude, a lot of eagerness, because skills can be taught, but the desire to work, the work ethic, the hunger, that can't be taught as easily as skills can be.
Okay, how long have you been our HR manager?
Just over a year.
Just over a year.
It's fresh.
Any weird, obviously don't name names or anything. Is there any like weird, like especially weird story that you've had from interviewing someone? Anything crazy?
I would say one of the funniest stories that I've experienced, we were actually interviewing for your role, Scott, for the video and multimedia coordinator, and it was a phone interview, and we were asking him just some of his video skills, some of like a favorite project that he worked on. And then I think he went on this 10-minute story of how much he loves Mickey Mouse and how he animated it. It was hard for me to keep a straight face and a calm voice as I was talking to him. It was just so funny. And so...
Got me the job.
Did
And then we hired Scott.
Did he try and imitate Mickey Mouse's voice?
No.
Oh, God.
Unfortunately.
That would have been
Opportunity. If you're going to go all out like
You
that, you
gotta
got to
go
come
for
in.
it.
That would have been the cherry on the top for sure.
So maybe don't go into any fetishes that you have in an interview.
So you didn't hire.
Rule number
Did not hire.
one. Rule number one.
So one thing I know from the winter meetings, and I know Laura's probably going to have some of these experiences, regardless if she's a baseball fan or not. But one of the coolest experiences, like meeting some of the front office people. Dayton Moore, this was during the Wade Davis, Jorge Soler trade was going down, and I had just accepted a position here at the Storm Chasers, and I had talked to Dayton the day before. I just introduced myself out in the hotel lobby, but he was just got done with the MLB radio interview about the Wade Davis trade. He recognized me, walked over to me, and he kind of leaned in. It was really cool, just with all this stuff going on. He took the time to come over and converse with me, and he kind of leaned in and was like, "How you doing? How's the job fair going?" I go, "Well, I just accepted a job with the Storm Chasers. It's going to be working for your affiliate." And he just, kind of leaned in, gave me some words of encouragement, and congratulated me. And that was so cool to see, like, a guy in the middle of such, like, a blockbuster trade at the time that was Wade Davis and Jorge Soler, for him to take the time and come over and talk to me and congratulate me and give me some words of advice was so cool. Definitely a highlight of
Your life.
of my life and the winter meetings, for sure. But definitely some lifelong memories that could be made from the winter meetings, and still some contacts that I made, some other job searchers. We kind of exchanged information. I still keep in touch with a couple of them, but that's always something that's, I think, just as important as networking while you're there. I'm a pretty introverted person at times, but I knew the importance that it was to kind of connect with some of these guys and some of these people to expand if there's a job opening somewhere else. Maybe that was somewhere I could catch on or something like that. But I don't know. Do you keep in contact with anybody, Louie? Or?
I do, yeah. I made a couple friends there at the gala, actually, which was interesting because it was essentially just a huge dance party with buffet lines on each side.
And some fancy food,
Yeah, some really fancy food, and then a dance party in the
gala.
middle. Yeah, it was a good time.
As galas go. That's
But yeah, it is interesting. Like growing up watching the winter meetings on MLB Network, it's kind of they're just discussing trades the whole time, manager interviews and all that. They don't really touch on the job fair too much, and then you're there walking around, obviously worried about your job postings, and then you see MLB Network stands everywhere at the entrances of the hotel, and they're discussing huge trades that might happen. So it's like. It's really like you don't want to go to sleep.
Did you ever walk like behind one of the TV sets that they had? Because I know I definitely walked behind like one of the MLB Network sets with like Harold Reynolds and stuff like doing their talk show, and I like kind of walked behind. I was just like
Start texting your friends.
Yeah, I was like,
"Are you
hey,
watching?"
turn on MLB Network, see what you see. So
Yeah, so it's cool. It's just interesting because you never know what you'll see, and you could be at a bar and having drinks, and there could be any MLB manager, really, any scout, any former player at that same bar.
you might see Laura. You might see Laura, and it's maybe an impromptu interview.
It's exactly at 11
Best
o'clock.
day.
You think you're going to implement some of those interview practices? You're going to meet them at the bar and
Heck yeah.
get to know them a little bit?
When in San Diego, right?
Yeah.
Probably go to the beach.
Do as the San Diegans do.
Really upset.
I would say just the biggest tip I would have is go in with confidence. If you got an interview, they obviously saw something in you that's impressive, that's exciting to them. So go in knowing that this team wants to hire you as much as you want to work for them. So really show that you want to be with them. you could just go in with that confidence of I belong here, and I'm gonna show you that. Some specific positions that we have open. We have a few associate positions open, which are how Asbury got his start with us, that full-time seasonal position, and then
Me too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Same with Scott Pop.
The video guy.
So those are the main things that I'll be hiring for. You never know. There's always more opportunities that will come up in the next few weeks, but that's the main thing that we'll be focusing on.
What will you do if you see in an interview the Mickey Mouse guy again?
Oh my God, that would be amazing.
That would be amazing,
Brings it
especially
up.
since we're not hiring for a media position.
We can make room.
You know what? You're probably right. I should post
We
it
can
just to
find
see
this
if
guy.
I can interview
I think it might
him.
be worth a try.
He has Mickey
I
Mouse
would.
ears on.
Then that's my guy.
He's probably working in the majors already.
You're probably right.
Since we're not doing a ton of segments, we decided we got to get some fun in there. So we have some random questions here. What TV show do you think you've rewatched the most?
Gilmore Girls.
That's very cool.
It's probably The Office for me as well.
It's definitely The Office.
Me too. I've honestly seen it so many times that I don't super enjoy watching it anymore.
I have
You
like
just have to.
I have like 3 shows on rotation that I rewatch. Like if I get done with The Office, then I go to Parks and Rec, and then
Yeah, I
after
get
Parks
that.
and Rec, I watch Community, and those are kind of the 3 that I have in rotation. It's like my own personal syndication.
I only got into Brooklyn Nine-Nine too.
Great-
which is
great show.
I love that show.
Scott and I love that show.
Currently binging
Southwest gives you 2 free first-class tickets to anywhere in the continental U.S. You have to use them by the end of the year. Where are you going?
And keep in mind, we only have like a month and a half here.
that. Yeah.
It's a quick turnaround.
And you can't say the obvious answer, Alaska, because it's continental U.S.
Alaska. Louie, if you don't know, is from Alaska.
Yeah.
So
I don't know how they'd know, but he is.
Yeah. I mean, anyone would say that. You don't have to be Alaska to know that.
I'd say Florida.
Florida's always good.
America's basement.
Always avoid Florida man. I hear you. That's not a good guy to hang out with.
Noted.
Yeah, I mean, anywhere in California, East or West Coast, anywhere in the southern regions where it's warmer, that'd be great.
I really want to pick somewhere I haven't been, but I think I would say Phoenix. Even though I lived there for multiple years. But I think I'd go back to Phoenix.
I do enjoy Phoenix. I've been there for spring trainings.
This
It's
time of
I've
year,
been to
too.
Phoenix.
Me neither.
It's super
All right,
nice
Scott.
this time of year.
Well, they're in San Diego.
That's
we'll go
true.
to
We'll head to
Phoenix.
What is a drink people enjoy that you think is gross? Can be
Milk.
alcoholic, non-alcoholic.
The
Eggnog.
answer is milk.
You don't like milk, just period?
Drinking straight up milk out of a glass is disgusting.
What?
What about
What?
almond milk? Is that
No,
any different?
any,
Or is it still
any
milk?
kind of milk. The only time I'm drinking milk is if it's in my cereal.
So do you finish the leftover milk in the cereal?
Only if it's Cinnamon Toast Crunch milk.
That's fair. It's super good.
So wait, eggnog, you don't like eggnog. Does that mean you just avoid holiday parties? What, like, that's all they serve there?
No, you can get apple cider.
Oh, that's true. Get some hottie toddies,
agree.
I guess.
Eggnog's just
It's
thicker, more
nasty.
disgusting milk.
Personally, I absolutely hate Jaeger. I hate Jaeger bombs, anything to do with Jaeger. I just hate the black licorice taste, and that's all I get from Jaeger.
It wasn't because of a bad night.
It actually wasn't. That's a Fireball story. That's not a Jaeger story. But it's weird. I get so much free Jaeger from either my group of friends or like
Correct.
random people, but I absolutely hate it. It is my least favorite.
Bring it to work.
No.
Yeah.
Add to the beer collection.
It's not like there's an HR manager here. That's fine.
Really, do you have anything? Do you like all drinks?
I think I do.
Don't discriminate.
I mean, I was gonna say tequila just because tequila shots are disgusting, but margaritas are great. So
I love
that's-
margaritas. That is my summer drink of choice.
You do, like pound down those.
This Costco
Costco
margs.
Margs.
Costco margs are my
You can't beat
thing.
them.
Oh no, I'm gonna say LaCroix. I don't know why people like LaCroix.
I've heard that. I haven't tried it.
Sparkling water in general.
My sister-in-law always says that drinking LaCroix is like drinking sparkling water with someone yelling the flavor in the other room.
Yeah, it really is. That is a great point. We need to have her on the show.
She'd be great.
All right, guys. Last question. Halloween just passed. We're coming up towards Thanksgiving. What is your favorite Halloween candy? I know I used to put out some candy at my desk. I might have moved locations, so I don't have that available to everybody, but everybody just gravitated towards that candy. What is your favorite Halloween candy?
Reese's.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, it's Reese's.
Is it
Specifically the Reese's Fast Break for me?
Oh,
Is
that's a good
is
one.
that just the basketball connection, the fast break, or
It clicks.
it clicks? I've always I've never actively went out and chose Kit Kats, but when I started buying them for the office, I realized Kit Kats are number one for me. They're light, they're airy. I can eat more than one and not feel bad about myself.
Surprised you didn't say Almond Joy.
Hey, I don't know why the hate for Almond Joy. I love Almond Joys.
Yesterday you were disappointed when there were Snickers instead of Almond Joys.
Okay, first of all, the Snickers Crisps.
Who does that?
Snickers Crisps are disgusting. I don't know what it is about them, but they were not good. But yeah, I was disappointed. I was wanting an Almond Joy.
Like I said yesterday, Snickers is objectively better than Almond Joy.
I mean,
I think so.
yeah,
True.
that's fair. That's fair, but not better than Snickers Crisps. That was awful.
I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, I don't know what that
Try
is.
that.
I don't recommend it. Don't try it.
Have you
Keep
seen
it
the
off
peanut
your
butter Snickers?
Oh, those are good.
I've never tried them.
They're really good. Yeah, you should try those too.
Yeah, I'm just working towards
Super
diabetes.
One candy bar at a time.
How do you feel about the Take 5 bars?
I don't think I've ever had one.
I enjoy them. They're the pretzels and the different stuff. Yeah,
Pretzels,
I like those as well. Well, Laura, safe travels to San Diego here in a couple
Thank you.
weeks. We hope you enjoy your first winter meetings experience.
Yes.
I can say me and Louie definitely, it sounded like we both had a blast there. It was definitely a unique experience, and again, for all those who prospective PBEO Job Fair hopefuls, we hope you take some of our advice to heart and you come in prepared, and hopefully this helped you get a job.
Yeah, print your resumes before you go.
Yes, don't rely on a Kinko's or
all,
FedEx or
yeah.
something. Print out, and I'm not kidding you, you need 100 resumes.
Yeah.
I'm not making this up. So if you have your own cards, take those. Dress for success. Bring some sport jackets, some suits, some ties. I think I had at least 2 different outfits that I alternated every day. But it definitely lets you stand apart from everybody else when you come prepared like that.
All right, thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Make sure to follow us on all of our social feeds for some more fire content. You can check us out at OMA Storm Chasers on Twitter and Omaha Storm Chasers on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok for all the youths.
Be sure and rate us 5 stars, 5 points on whatever platform you're listening to this podcast. And if you have any suggestions for future topics, future episodes, feel free to DM us on any of those social media platforms that we talked about and give us your suggestions on what we should talk about. Maybe we might have you on, call you in, talk to you a little bit.
But more importantly than all of that, tune in again next week for a brand new episode.